You're sitting on the couch. Your child is on the floor, happy, calm, with a colorful toy in their mouth. You look at your child and think, everything is fine. My child is safe. But something is happening in that moment that your eyes cannot see. Something no toy label will ever tell you. When a child chews on a plastic toy, two things happen simultaneously inside their little body. The first is mechanical. The friction of teeth and gums against the plastic surface breaks off microscopic particles that are released and swallowed. We're talking about fragments smaller than 1 millimeter. Invisible to the naked eye, but absolutely real. These fragments cross the intestinal lining and enter the bloodstream. And once in the bloodstream, they travel. Scientists have already detected microplastics in the liver, kidneys, and lung tissue of young children. Not in rare cases, in systematic research samples. The second thing that happens is chemical. The child's saliva, combined with the heat of the mouth, accelerates the release of compounds that were inside the plastic: phthalates, BPA, BPS, and heavy metal stabilizers. These compounds dissolve in saliva and are swallowed along with food, water, everything. And once inside the body, they don't stay still. They seek out hormone receptors, and when they find them, they mimic or block the child's natural hormones. This has a name in medicine. They're called endocrine disruptors. Disruptors because they disturb the hormonal system. And endocrine because that's the system being targeted. The system that controls growth, brain development, the immune system, and the child's reproductive formation. All of this being built in the first years of life, all of this being exposed to chemical compounds every time that toy enters their mouth. A study published in Environmental Health Perspectives found that children between 6 months and 3 years have phthalate levels 3 to 5 times higher than adults. The main cause identified was exactly the behavior of putting plastic objects in the mouth, 3 to 5 times more, inside the body of a child whose hormonal system is still being assembled piece by piece. If you thought buying a BPA-free toy solved the problem, there's something important you need to know right now. BPA was replaced by compounds called BPS and BPF. And research published in specialized endocrinology journals shows that BPS and BPF have hormone-disrupting capacity comparable to or even greater than the original BPA. The label changed. The risk didn't disappear. It just got a different name. If this channel is bringing you information you've never heard before, subscribe now. It's free, and make sure you never miss a video about child protection that we publish. Now there's something that most pediatricians still don't openly discuss during appointments, and that the most recent studies are beginning to show with a clarity that raises serious concern. Microplastics and their associated chemicals don't only have a hormonal effect. Epidemiological research, studies that follow large populations over years, has found an association between phthalate exposure in early childhood and higher incidence of certain types of childhood cancer, including leukemia and germ cell tumors. But it's important to be clear, association does not mean proven cause. Science is still establishing that direct causal link. However, the International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies some plasticizers as possible human carcinogens. And when we're talking about the body of a child still in formation, possible is already enough reason to act. What the research shows is this: the damage is not dramatic or immediate. It's not an allergic reaction that appears in minutes. It's silent. It's cumulative. It's the kind of exposure that happens every day in small doses, over months and years, and whose effects appear much later, when the easiest window for intervention has already closed. What happens inside the child's body is this: microplastics accumulate in tissues that cannot eliminate them. The liver tries to process them but lacks the adequate enzymes for synthetic polymer fragments. Phthalates circulate through the blood, bind to estrogen and testosterone receptors, and send signals the body should not be receiving at this stage of development. The brain, which is in accelerated formation during the first 3 years, receives these disrupted signals and incorporates them into its construction process. What is most concerning is not the toy itself, but the time window. The first 3 years of life are the period of greatest neurological and hormonal plasticity in human existence. What enters the body during that period carries a weight that no other period in life carries. And it is exactly during that period that children most frequently put objects in their mouths. Now comes the part that matters most. Because information without a solution is just anxiety. And you didn't stay until here to leave scared. You stayed to leave with answers. The first thing I want you to do today is flip over the plastic toy your child uses most frequently and look at the number inside the recycling symbol on the bottom. That number exists on almost every plastic product, and it tells you more about the safety of that object than any label on the packaging. Avoid numbers 3, 6, and 7. Number 3 identifies PVC, polyvinyl chloride, which contains the highest levels of phthalates of all plastics. It is frequently used in soft toys, teethers, and colorful inflatable balls. Number 6 is polystyrene, present in harder toys and releases styrene, a compound that science associates with neurological damage in chronic exposure. Number 7 is a mixed category that frequently includes polycarbonate, the plastic that used to contain BPA and now contains the BPS and BPF substitutes mentioned earlier. Numbers 1, 2, and 4 are lower-risk plastics. But even these were not designed for prolonged oral contact in children. Lower risk does not mean zero risk when we are talking about a baby who spends 20 minutes chewing the same object every single day. So, what should you replace them with? There are 3 materials that pediatric and child toxicology research recognize as safe for teethers and toys that go in the mouth. The first is natural rubber, extracted from the rubber tree, without synthetic compounds added. Pure natural rubber teethers do not release endocrine disruptors, do not fragment into microplastics, and are biodegradable. When buying, verify that the product specifies pure natural rubber and carries oral contact safety certification. In Europe, the EN71 certification, and in the United States, the ASTM F963 are the references. Be cautious with products that simply say rubber without specifying the origin. The second material is untreated wood, or wood treated with certified natural oils, such as linseed oil or beeswax. Quality wooden toys do not release chemicals, are durable, and when damaged, the damage is visible, which makes the decision to discard straightforward. Avoid wood painted with paints not certified for children's use, as low-quality paints can contain heavy metals such as lead and cadmium. The third is food-grade silicone, the same material used in quality kitchen utensils. Food-grade silicone teethers are chemically inert. They do not react with saliva, do not release hormonal compounds, and do not fragment into detectable microplastics. The difference between food-grade silicone and regular silicone is significant. Always verify that the product specifies food-grade silicone in the description. Now, one detail that few parents consider, and that is just as important as the material itself. Any toy, regardless of material, should be discarded as soon as it shows deep bite marks, cracks, or a damaged surface. A natural rubber toy with a compromised surface releases more particles than an intact, low-risk plastic toy. The condition of the toy matters just as much as what it is made of. Leave a comment below and tell me, did you already know about the recycling number on the bottom of your child's toys before watching this video? I want to know how many parents reach this point without that information. There is one more thing before we close. Heat multiplies the risk. A plastic toy left in a hot car, exposed to sunlight by a window, or warmed in any way before being given to a child releases dramatically higher concentrations of chemicals than the same toy at room temperature. Research from the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences shows that heat can multiply the release of chemical compounds from plastic by up to 55 times. That means the toy that seems safe in the morning after 2 hours in a hot car becomes a completely different object in terms of chemical exposure. The practical rule is simple. If the toy feels warm to the touch before giving it to your child, don't give it. Let it cool completely at room temperature before any oral contact. If this video changed the way you see your child's toys, hit the like button now. It takes 1 second and helps other parents find this information before it's too late. Here's what matters most before you go. You did not make a mistake. No parent who gave their child a plastic toy made a mistake, because this information simply was not reaching you in a clear and accessible way. The system was not designed to protect you from this, it was designed to sell toys. But from today, you have what most parents do not have: specific, verifiable, and actionable knowledge. And that knowledge does not go away. It stays with you. And it protects your child every single time you pick up a toy and flip it over to check the number on the back. That is what an informed parent does, and you are one now.